It all started with a dream. The kind of dream that keeps you up at night, scrolling through listings and imagining yourself sipping coffee on a deck overlooking calm, blue water. For me, that dream became reality the day I found her, a tiny, rundown lake house on the edge of Willow Creek Lake. The structure wasn't much. Chipped paint, a sagging porch, and creaky steps that moaned like ghosts of the past. But the view? Oh, the view could heal a man's soul. I bought the property outright. Cash deal. No fancy neighborhood rules, no HOA, no nosy committees. Just me, my land, and the sound of the water brushing against the shore, or so I thought. The trouble began 2 weeks after I moved in. It was a Tuesday morning. I was outside sanding down the porch railing when a shiny white SUV rolled up my gravel driveway. The door opened and out stepped a woman in a beige suit, clipboard in hand, her expression tighter than a jar lid. "Good morning," she said, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm Carolyn, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association." I wiped my hands and frowned. "Nice to meet you, Carolyn. But I think you've got the wrong property. I'm not part of any HOA. Her smile vanished faster than morning fog. "Oh, I'm afraid that's incorrect. This entire area falls under the Willow Creek Association. We've received reports that you've been living here full-time. That's a violation. These are designated vacation properties only," I chuckled. "Reports? From who? The Ducks?" She didn't laugh. "I'll need you to vacate within 10 days. HOA policy." "You can't live here year-round," I blinked, trying not to lose my temper. "Ma'am, I think you should double-check your records. This land was carved out of the HOA boundaries years ago. I've got the deed and maps to prove it," her tone sharpened. "We'll see about that." She strutted back to her SUV, tires crunching on gravel, leaving behind a cloud of dust and a storm brewing in my chest. The next few days were pure harassment. I started getting letters, official-looking ones with the HOA logo. Violation notices, fines, warnings. One even said they'd take legal action if I didn't comply. I called their office. No answer. I emailed them. No reply. Then came the cherry on top, a bright orange paper taped to my door. Final notice. "Cease occupancy immediately." That's when I decided to fight back. I went to the county records office and pulled every document related to my property. Sure enough, the map clearly showed the HOA boundary ending 2 lots before mine. The previous owner had opted out when the HOA was formed 20 years ago. Armed with evidence, I called Carolyn. She didn't pick up, so I drove to the HOA office myself. The moment I walked in, conversations stopped. Half a dozen board members turned their heads as if a ghost had entered. Carolyn was there too, sitting behind a long table. Smiling that same fake smile. "Well," she said coolly, "if it isn't our new rule breaker." I placed my folder on the table and slid the documents toward her. "Before you accuse people, maybe do your homework. My property isn't under your authority." She glanced at the papers, then laughed. Actually laughed. "That map is outdated. We updated our boundaries 5 years ago," I smirked. "Without my consent? Or the county's approval?" Her face twitched. I leaned forward. "See, Carolyn, that's the thing. You can't just decide where your rules apply. My land is non-HOA, and unless you've suddenly become the government, you have zero say over what I do on my property." Her voice dropped. "You're making a big mistake." "No," I said, standing tall. "You did." I walked out before she could reply. 2 days later, things escalated. I was fixing my dock when 2 police cruisers pulled up. Carolyn stood beside them, arms crossed, her smug smile back in place. "Sir," one of the officers said, "we received a call from the HOA. They claim you're trespassing on private property." I almost laughed. "Trespassing? This is my land," Carolyn interjected. "Officer, he's been warned multiple times. This area falls under HOA jurisdiction, and permanent residency isn't allowed." I handed the officer my property deed along with the county map. "Take a look for yourself." He examined the papers carefully, radioed dispatch, and walked over to his cruiser. A few minutes later, he returned, holding the documents. "Ma'am," he said to Carolyn, "the county confirms. This parcel is not part of Willow Creek HOA." Carolyn's jaw dropped. "That can't be right." "I'm afraid it is," the officer said. "You have no authority here. If you continue harassing this man, he could file a complaint. I couldn't resist. I turned to her and said, "Looks like your rules don't apply here, President Carolyn." Her face flushed red. She mumbled something under her breath and stomped back to her car, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. As the officers left, one of them chuckled. "Man, she's gonna hate you forever." I grinned. She already does. After that day, peace returned to the lake. No more letters. No more surprise visits. Just the sound of the water and the wind through the trees. But the story didn't end there. A few weeks later, I got a knock on my door. It was one of the HOA board members, an older man named Bill. He looked embarrassed. "Mind if I come in?" he asked. "Sure," I said, leading him to the porch. He sighed. "Listen, I just wanted to say..." Not all of us agreed with what Carolyn did. She's been running that HOA like a dictatorship. After your incident, the board voted her out. I raised an eyebrow. "Seriously?" "Yep, she's gone. And between you and me, you did everyone a favor. That woman made living here miserable." He left soon after, and I sat there on the porch, watching the sunset paint the lake gold. It hit me then. How crazy it was that a little piece of paper, a few boundary lines, and one stubborn man could bring down an entire bully of an HOA president. I sipped my coffee and smiled to myself. Sometimes, peace isn't just about silence. Sometimes, it's about standing your ground until the noise stops. And as the last light faded over Willow Creek Lake, I whispered to the quiet water, "Home sweet non-HOA home."